Help support the companies that support our community. I started out with a piece about 4.5 inches in diameter by 6.5 inches long, and this is a piece of apple and it has some beautiful burl on it, so I was hoping that I would be able to save some of that. I got it in between centers and went ahead and trued it up with a spindle gouge. After I got it true, I went ahead and put a tenon down on the tailstock end. So I'll use that tenon to put it in the chuck and shape it and get it hollowed out. Every time I change the jaws on my chuck, I get asked, somebody asked me in the comments, what chuck is that? It's an Easy Wood chuck, and there'll be a link down in the description to it. I went ahead and brought the tailstock back up and started shaping it with the spindle gouge. So I'm making a vase, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring down the top of it here and then start bringing down the bottom to the foot of it. It was about right in here that I realized I didn't want to keep going with the original project we had planned. I thought that burl was just on the very outside of it, but it went a lot deeper than I thought, and it is just gorgeous. So I was going to, after I got this whole thing done, cut it on the bandsaw, and I just couldn't do it. It's just a beautiful piece of wood. So we will do that next week with a project on a different piece of wood. After I had the shape down, I went ahead and started hollowing it out, and I used the #1 hollower to do all of that. After I had it all hollowed out, I went ahead and sanded it with a couple of grits dry and then switched over and to the walnut oil and finish sanding it with the walnut oil all the way up to 600. To remount it, I just used some of that non-stick pad on a tenon and slid it over the mouth of it, and then brought the tailstock back up and then brought the foot down. So I utilized almost all of the tenon on this to just kind of bring the shape down and have it round over a little bit more. I didn't want to cut it off right where the, before the tenon was. I didn't think it was going to look good, so I used almost all of the tenon to incorporate it into the shape. After I got the bottom cupped out a little bit, same process here. I just sanded and oiled the bottom portion of it. And so when you do this, I normally go through the grits and I just keep working my way back up the vase. So when I get all done with it, I'm using the 600 right here. Just you're sanding the whole piece again with the 600 so that there's no line in there from where you sanded the top and where you started the bottom. So just keep working your way back up and then finish it off with the 600. There we go, it is all done. So I just, on the bottom of it, I just used the sanding pad on the lathe and cleaned up that little nub where the live center was hitting it. It's, again, it is out of apple, and it just has this beautiful burl in here. It's about 6 inches tall and about 4 inches in diameter. It brought down just a little bit of it. So when I first found the piece and put it on the lathe, I thought that burl was just right on the surface, but it went in a lot deeper than I thought, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. Applewood it's really nice to turn, and it just has a light brown color, and there's a lot of variations in it. Just even if it's a straight grain piece, apple is beautiful, but with that burl in it, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't cut it in half on the bandsaw, but we'll do that project next week, and I will find a plain piece of wood that I don't fall in love with halfway through the project. But it was a fun one. It's just a little vase. Like I said too, I used that tenon because I didn't want to. If I wouldn't have used the tenon, it would have been about this much shorter, and the proportions wouldn't have been quite right. So I just brought it all the way down to the bottom of that tenon. But beautiful piece of wood. All right. Oh no. If you're in the Portland metro area, we're going to be at the Tiger Woodcraft doing an Easy Wood Tools demo on the 15th. That's next Saturday. So if you're in the area, please stop by and say hi. All right, we will see you next week. Take care.